my dreams. As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams.
Good morning, everybody. Greetings to you this morning. I don't know, but somehow I don't hear the sound so nicely. But yeah, we are live on YouTube, and that's on the Inside Show with none other than Talk with Joan Thursdays. And yes, today I am excited beyond expression.
Words.
Beyond words.
Can express. And expression.
Yes, man. So because I have Lady S in the studio, guys, and that is not just, but it is because of something very special that we're going to reveal now.
Yes.
So yeah, beloveds, I want you to subscribe, and then you will know what is happening, right?
Yes.
So come on now. If you are, we have our regular tuners.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah, we have our regular people that always tunes in.
Yes.
And so we actually just want to say good morning to you all, and we hope that you're having a good Thursday. Isn't it a beautiful Thursday morning? Isn't it just so nice and warm?
Yes.
Normally this time it's a little bit nachas chilly.
Yeah.
And you can actually feel it in the mornings and in the evenings, right?
Yes.
But it's very lekker. It's very nice. I like this weather because I don't have to all the time, So yes, beloveds, we are doing Born to Move this morning. Yeah, we are on a mission of moving. We cannot stagnate because you know how stagnation is. It's like stinking water, when a river stagnates, right?
So
It smells. So you ought to move like the sea, you see? You have to move. Move it.
And I want to
gotta
add
move
there,
it.
that you actually need to move forward.
Yes.
Because you can move
Yes,
backwards
you
too.
can move backwards too. Yes, you can move
That's
backwards.
moving on.
No reverses, no reverse,
Yeah,
no
only
reverse.
move
Yeah.
forward.
Move forward.
Yes.
On with Christian soldiers.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is where we are this morning. So yes, we are happy to have you with us this morning. I'm going to ask the ladies actually just to say hi to you. And then we're going to go into Born to Move.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I am here and ready to move. Good morning, everyone. I am Violet DeBeer, for those who don't know yet, but I am the co-host on the Talk with Joan show. And as Joan said, it is a beautiful day.
Yes.
And it is even more beautiful because we have this special person here.
Special lady.
A very special lady. And she has attained another title. She's an author.
Yes.
Another title.
Another title to the long list of titles. So it's nice to have you here, Lady S. So welcome in the house this morning. And I trust that we're going to have an awesome conversation, a very thought-provoking conversation. Born to move. Yeah. So that is my little 5 cents.
Right.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody, to
Over
all
to
the
you.
listeners. I'm so glad you're tuning in this morning. Listen, this ladies is I'm telling you, they my chomas, eh? They're really my chomas. I love them dearly. They are such a great support. They are such a jam. They're full of energy and love, and I am so blessed to have them. I'm so blessed to be on Talk with Joan, one of my favorite shows on YouTube.
Yes.
Let me
Yes,
tell you,
man.
I
Thank
have
you,
to click
thank
that
you,
button.
thank you, man.
I'm there. I have to support a sister. So please tune
Yes,
in.
girl.
Always make sure you on Talk with Joan on Thursday. So I'm so glad I'm here this morning, ladies, and I love
It's
you
so
so
nice
much.
to have
Thank
you.
you.
I was trying to explain
very
to my
nice to have
nephew
you.
about the show,
Yes.
and I was just saying to him last night, it's a show for people like us, for the Ons is plat man.
Yes.
Ons is net down
Ja,
to
ons is
earth
net
man. Ons is net
ons is
lekker
net
mense
ons,
man.
man.
Gewone
Lekker
mense, gewone
gewone
broers,
mense.
sisters, ja,
So as jy
nee,
wil
ja.
lekker gesels,
Yes.
tune in and
That's
join
right.
us every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on the Talk with Joan
Oh,
show.
Yes.
So yeah, we are. I'm
We are
excited.
ready to move. We're ready to
because
move,
I-
girls.
Joan, I actually want to know what inspired first of all this title. This
No.
Are you
I
not
first
wa-
want to go.
Oh,
Yeah.
you first want to go.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
gonna
so
go.
I'm jumping the gun. I'm
ja,
so
jy's
excited to
voor
move.
op die wa.
Sien jy?
Jy's
Yes,
voor
you
op die
see?
wa, sien jy nou. All right, girls. There we
Where
go.
was-
Where you
Maybe
right come.
subconsciously I'm trying to avoid this ball. This
Oh,
one-
is that?
Oh, this gal down here don't want
don't
to
like
do
it.
this, hey?
That is a thought
No,
provoking
she
ball,
actually
right?
very, very,
on-
very. It
put
makes
you
you
one on
think.
the
It makes you
spot.
think.
Yes,
Yes,
makes
That is good to be
yes,
on the
it makes you
spot
think.
sometimes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Go there.
Okay. Name
And-
something creative you like to do.
Ah.
Ooh, something creative that I like to do. Ooh, I'm not so good in like Joan and Sandy and Violet with all the crockery and crochet and what
knitting.
and knitting.
That's Joan's.
So
out there.
something I like to do that is creative. I like to taste some recipes, you know, creative. I'd like to make a sandwich
I know,
differently.
I've seen
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I've
I like
noticed
to
that.
make a sandwich a little bit different because
And-
I don't like bread. So I
Yes.
always like to see how I can make a different kind of bread in order to have a desire to eat it.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I
I'm
like that.
doing
I've
that.
also seen that you like decorating
Yes,
tables.
yes,
Am I right?
decoration table. Yeah, I like to
Yes.
be like just put a little
Put
bit.
a little
I'm
bit
not
of-
so good in it, but I like to do it so that I can learn next time. Okay, let's put a survey there, whatever.
Yes,
But it's just a little bit of a small and yana thing, but I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's nice. That's very nice.
Can I throw it to you? Are you ready?
I'm ready. Huh. When you're feeling low, I'd like to try. Ek weet nog nie wat om te sê nie.
Yeah, when you feel down,
When
what do
I'm-
you like
when
to
I'm-
do? What
when
do you
I'm
like to try?
down. I eat sometimes when I'm low. But that's not something new.
Then you eat chips.
Then I No, I eat chocolates. I eat candy when I'm low. I love
Oh wow!
I have a little stash there in my drawer next to my bed. And
Yeah,
then I
yeah.
just put my hand in every time. And I also tell myself, Violet, you need to stop now. But that's when I feel low. I just try
Yeah.
and, you know,
It's
pep
right.
myself.
yourself
put
op.
myself op
Ja.
te kikker. Ja.
Yeah.
Okay, die ene is nou nie so lekker. nie. Ek wil nie nou van low dinkie. There we go.
Okay. How do other people cope? I don't know. I don't know how people cope.
Julle is stout hoor.
You just know how you
You
cope.
know how you
Okay,
cope. but
yeah,
others-
I know how I cope.
But
I
what
don't
do you-
know how other people
Because you
cope.
also coach, Jonah. What do you think how other people cope?
Like, she cope when she's down.
Yeah.
She copes with sweets.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
do you cope?
Yeah,
That's
what do you
one.
think? What do you think in general?
Name something you're thankful for.
You know?
I'm thankful for life.
Oh, yeah.
Thankful
Yeah.
for life. Yeah.
Awesome.
You know, when I think of where the Lord has brought me through, I am
Amen.
just
Yes.
thankful for life.
Awesome.
And how the enemy tried to take
So-
me out. You know what
yes,
I'm saying?
true.
I'm thankful for
Yes,
life, guys. I'm happy
absolutely.
to be this side of the grave.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what I do, right? Come.
Again nie. Sure.
Yeah.
Nou moet ek die bal sommer draai ook. Oh, well, it says practice taking deep breaths. So, I like this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do it with me. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that is
Oh,
good. It
that's
feels
so
so
relaxing.
good.
That's so relaxing.
I love that. I love that. Taking
I
deep
don't know what
breaths.
others do when they're upset.
You know, sometimes I do it before I go, when I fall asleep, and if I feel I'm tense, then I take deep breaths, inhale, and release.
Exhale, yeah.
Inhala,
Right,
exhala.
what is your...
When I feel worried, I pause.
Oh,
I reflect.
okay.
I ask questions to myself.
Good.
Right.
Why do I worry?
Right. That's
That's,
awesome.
that's a good one.
Yeah, I wonder what do you say out there?
yes.
Speak
Let's
to us,
see,
guys.
let's see,
Yeah. When you are worried, what do you do? What is your
Yes,
coping mechanisms that
yeah.
you use, like actually
Yeah.
to get through that worries? What do you do to actually get yourself moving?
I want to be mischievous. I heard someone saying, and it's a believer, that said, die ene saam in 'n drank to dryf. So we don't want to hear that.
Nee.
We don't want to hear
Dis
that.
nie reggie nie.
That's not the
No,
right
that's not
way, no?
right. That's not right. Don't let it drive you
Yeah, no, don't let
to
it drive
things
you
that
to-
are not so
Yes.
good. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes,
So it is
absolutely.
very important for you to actually
stay-
reflect. Why
Absolutely.
am I feeling like this? Ask
Yeah.
yourself questions.
Yes,
That is what you ought to do. Now we have Lady S in the house, guys. And, this is a book, her first
Born to
book,
Move.
right?
I like
Born
that, the
to
first.
Move. This is her first book, right? Because there are still many to come.
Yes.
And I know that God have a plan and a purpose for all of our lives. But I know her specifically because I know her close. That there are more things in the pipeline. So that God's going to do in her personal life. So yes, we have Born to Move in the house, and this book is but just a story that this woman's going to tell us today. And we want to ask the first question, as Violet says, that first question, why the title?
Why the title? Because it's an interesting title.
Yes.
Yeah, Born
yes.
to
But
Move.
what inspired that? What led you to choose this
Choose
title?
that title. You know, Violet and Joan, when I grew up, you know, I always think I had to navigate my way through life. I always had to struggle my way through life. And there was never a time that I had to, you know, go from one stage to another stage without going through a struggle, you know.
Yeah.
So what inspired me when I was thinking of writing a book, what mainly inspired me, it was the specifically the book of Philippians. It really inspired me, where Paul said, the book is so filled with passion, with purpose, with resilience,
Yes.
and yet also with trials and tribulations.
Absolutely
But
so.
Paul uttered those words inside, you know what, forget about the former things,
things,
what had
yes,
happened to you in your
Wow,
past,
yes.
and stretch
Stretch
forward.
yourself,
And
yes.
I was like, oh my God, how do you do that?
Yes.
And I remember the former things. I
Yes,
remember my past. I remember
absolutely.
my struggle.
Yes.
And I said, okay, this will give me an opportunity to go to move forward, to
Yes.
stretch forward.
Wonderful.
And because I've started becoming a child of God, I've opened the Word of God, and the Bible said it was void. The world was void. It was empty.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes.
God speak it into existence.
Yes.
Yes.
And I took it from there. I'm like, my life was
Wow.
void.
Yeah.
My life was empty. I didn't have
Yes.
direction in my life
Yes.
growing up.
Yeah.
But yet, God make it possible for me to move forward.
Right.
And that inspired actually the title of Born to
Yes.
Move.
Wonderful.
And also to remind me to continuously move.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what happened to me,
Yes.
doesn't matter the adversities, but to inspire myself first.
Yeah.
You know, because if I'm not inspired to move forward, I won't be able to inspire my readers.
So true.
And that actually inspired me to.
But
for the
just on
title.
that, that's awesome, lady. Is I know you also personally for a couple of years now, and Joan, since I met this woman,
yes.
through you actually,
Yeah.
her energy.
Yes.
You know, you're
we actually missed her
positive.
the other day because of her
I
energy.
told her. I
At the
told
ladies,
her.
at the ladies, they
On
came.
Saturday.
They see me. I said, but guys, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Please,
Yeah.
please,
I
I'm
can
here.
give it to you also.
Right.
Because every table I went to,
Where's
because we
Lady
had
S?
our,
Yeah.
said, where's Lady S?
Yes.
We're missing her energy. We're missing her energy. I said, wow.
Absolutely, lady. Is
My word.
you have a contagious
Yeah, that's
energy
true.
about
That's
you.
so true,
Your
ladies.
energy is
Thank
just.
you.
It just lightens
That's
up a room.
absolutely so.
It lightens up wherever you step into a room to conversations. You just make a difference in a positive way, you know. So that's just you. I love your authenticity, my friend. I just love who you are. And don't change for anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. This phone is just ringing here. I don't know who it is. But yeah, they will get me after the show.
right.
Yes, they
It's
will.
nothing so important
Yeah, no.
for now. Yes, guys, so that is actually what. And then also when we go through the book, your first chapter actually really inspired me to actually say that, listen, what was your genesis? You talk about the genesis of your life, you know,
Yes.
and the real person who is Sonia Vorster.
That's right.
You know, so if you can just tell us a little bit about the genesis of your life.
Yeah, I couldn't start the book with another chapter besides the Genesis, besides the beginning,
Yes.
besides that. Who am I?
Yes.
Not what you see now,
Yeah.
not the energy that you guys experience now, the
Yes,
love.
yes.
You know, who was Sonia before? Who was she really, you know?
Yes.
And taking me back in my Genesis moment, I always say to people, yes, I might, they might think I'm from the Plaasdorpie, but I actually started in Johannesburg. You know, I was born in
I found it very
Alexandra.
interesting when I read that part.
Yes.
Really? You
Yes,
started in
yes.
Johannesburg?
I was born in Alexandra, next to Senton. So
Yeah.
please, guys, Senton is next to Alexandra. But I was born there, and at the age of 4 years, my mom actually took us to the Northern Cape.
Yeah.
So that part, always when I speak about it in my Genesis moment, how my granny said when we arrived there, the language barrier. Remember, at 4 years age, you can utter some words already and try to ask for things. But my grandparents, but before that, my mom said to my grandparents, okay, we're leaving the kids here, we are coming back, okay? We're leaving the kids. And my grandparents said they never returned. And yeah, sure. But like I said, the language barrier, my grandmother said before she died, I had conversations, that's why I put it in there. The language barrier was we couldn't speak Afrikaans or proper English. We were trying to ask them for water, and my grandmother said this particular word. We tried to say toto, and she was like, "What's this?" And yeah, so that language barrier was
So
there.
what did you speak?
Was it what?
I think it was a Vernac language, like
Yeah.
some African, but I've outgrown it because my grandparents was not speaking it also in the house or so. So they taught us very fast how to speak Afrikaans.
So you were 4 years old then,
Yes.
and your sister
So I was
2
2 years old, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I was,
Yeah,
I'm
that
the
was still
eldest.
very little.
Yeah,
eh?
that's still little. So, and my grandparents have, because they said children on a younger age quickly
Yeah,
adapt to a
yeah.
language
Yes,
change.
yes.
So that actually helps a lot. Sorry guys for the tears.
Yeah,
But
no.
yeah, so I think that Genesis moments to me was moments, when I reflect to it now, it's also moments whereby I've never knew as a child growing up in my Genesis moments, what it was to have birthday parties, you know, what it was to have a 1-year birthday, what it was to really have blowing out candles. I never experienced that. That's why today I'm so high on things like that.
Yes.
Why? Because it
That
was
makes
not
sense
Sonia.
now.
You see today,
Yes.
it's Sonia. She celebrated herself. She blew out candles. She make a fuss about her birthday. But in my Genesis moment, it wasn't there. You know, it was missing in my life growing up because my grandparents' focus was to look after us, and they were also by that time already old men. They were not young, so they have to sit now with the burden of raising us. And so some of my aunts had to actually go and work because now they also have extra responsibilities, you know, because they have their kids and they have us as well. So, like I said in the book, I think my Genesis moment was for me really a moment of reflection and of gratefulness. How God could have already knew
Yeah,
that time
yeah.
that I'm born
Yeah,
to
that's
move.
so
You
true.
know, I'm
Yes,
not going to
that's so
remain
true.
in
We-
that
yes,
moments
yes.
of vulnerability, and that
Yeah.
moments of not knowing who I was really.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, was I black? Was I white? Was I black? Was I brown? The language that I was speaking.
Yes.
So it was just something else. My Genesis
Wow.
moment. So yeah, great moment, and yeah, and it was. I also mentioned in my Genesis moment. When I wrote the book, I realized now from history, it was really during that time of the unrest in Johannesburg, Joan. And to console myself while I was writing it, I was thinking, didn't my mom was really thinking about us?
Yeah, I also thought that when I was reading.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought to myself, I said to myself, I wonder, did your mother ever thought about, I have 2 children I just abandoned.
And they will not.
And how are they doing? Because did she ever come back
Never.
to visit you?
Never.
Really?
Hence, I was saying in that beginning as well is
Yeah.
when my grandfather passed away, when my grandma passed away, I'm like, what kind of a mom that won't come to the funeral? Can't she at least have
Sure,
a
so she didn't
urge
even come.
where
So
she
you don't know
is?
whether she's
because
alive
we couldn't,
or-
my aunts couldn't even contact them because they didn't know where she was. Remember, my aunts and uncles didn't know Johannesburg by then because we in this Hartswater and they don't know a big place like Johannesburg. So they didn't have contact with her, you know. So to let
Or
her
your
know, or even
so
my father,
Never reached
you
out.
know,
because
never reached out.
Hartswater is a little town.
Yes.
It's a little place
In the
Northern
Cape,
Cape.
yes.
And you can just imagine
True.
that you being old, growing up there as
Yeah,
parents,
that's right.
grandparents, and now this big Johannesburg. So where do you
start
to
Where do
look
you
for
start?
someone?
and
yeah.
I can just think that I can just imagine,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But and that is. Did you ever think about your mother?
Yeah.
A lot. Do you know what makes me think about my mother? Because you must know now my cousins, they call their mothers mother.
Yeah.
And I was like, but
Yeah.
I also like to use this word. And I couldn't because I don't have a mother. I have a grandmother. And we were not calling my grandmother Ma by that time, but we call her Oma. So
not
I
the
soon
same, yeah.
realized it's my grandmom. So
yes.
I was always asking my siblings, my cousins, why you would say mother? Isn't my grandmother also your mom? And they would explain to me, no, grandmother is our mom's mom. So we have our
Okay.
own moms.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that word to me was not a word that I was used to use, mother, you know,
Yeah.
because Oma.
Yeah.
Because
Because
I-
you never had that figure
Yes, and I
in your
didn't
life,
grow up
yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
So I was always calling my granny just granny or Oma. Because
Yeah.
it's when I start speaking Afrikaans and start speaking, calling her
That must
mom.
be very devastating
It
as
must
a child,
be.
right?
Yeah, because
To
you know,
actually-
my late dad never knew his father, and so his siblings, his 2 sisters, wanted to, when they were adults already, they went to look in. They just heard he's from Kimberley, and they went to Kimberley to go and see can they find their biological father. So did that ever come up in you? I'd like to find out are they still alive? They somewhere. Did it ever come up?
I think I mentioned it in a book, John.
Yeah,
I don't know,
you
did you
did.
read it part?
Yeah, you did,
So
yeah.
when I grew up now, that is where I become aware now. I was most now in Johannesburg,
Yeah.
and I read about how you can find your people and
Yeah.
whatever. There was a show, I think, Kumblikaya,
Yeah.
on a
Yes.
TV show.
Yeah, that's correct,
So I
yes.
tend to reach out, but I didn't know the how and the, that.
Yes.
And so how I actually manage one of my aunts, we call her Mama also because she was one of the bigger aunts, so we all call her Mama. So I asked her, listen, was my mom at the primary school? Was she ever at school? And she said, yes. Guys, you won't believe it. And then the lady at the primary school, she managed to find somehow history, like, the first part of your ID.
Yeah.
When you enroll in
Yeah,
school,
yeah,
your
yeah.
date of birth,
Yeah,
your
yeah,
year,
yeah.
that. She managed to find that. Then, when she managed to find that, I asked a lady that I knew at the Home Affairs to search for me on the date of birth. And she said, yeah, she would need some more numbers.
Info, yeah.
And then I found the school back. And the lady was like, you know what? When you've been enrolled, you use your date of birth.
Yeah.
And she had on your date of birth will be your ID number,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
full
yeah,
ID
yeah,
numbers
yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And she had something like that. And I phoned Hannah at the Home Affairs. And I said, Hannah, I've got now a full ID number. Can you please search for me in this ID number? But besides searching first, I know Pastor Eileen is on the call.
Yeah.
I was at the women's conference,
Yeah.
Pastor Eileen's church, and Pastor Eva, Dr. Eva, is it Eva?
Eva Siobi. Yeah.
She was preaching a message. God can bring every dead situation to life.
Right.
And that triggers me that day about keep searching, you know. So I searched for her, and Hannah put it in the system. She phoned me back. She said to me, Lady S, something is not, in place here. I'm like, what's wrong? She said, the ID number shows the person is deceased, and it also shows the person was married. And I'm like, okay, it can be possible. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And this is now how many years after that's when you were grown?
Yeah, this is
because
33 years.
This is later in your book
Yes.
that you just
It's like 33 years or so.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, it's like, okay, what now? You know that moment, I actually regret why I
Try to
tried to look. Because now, this is what the lady
the
told me.
results, yeah.
And she said, I can't pick up an address. Now, what makes sense is she couldn't pick up an address because the day when my brother came, I hope we're not jumping the gun.
Yeah, you
my
are
brother,
actually, yeah.
yes, because Violet was asking
okay.
now
Yeah,
the
no,
question.
I went
Yeah,
on
but
a
okay, you
yes.
can
Yeah,
go,
can I
you can
kind of go?
You can
The
carry
day
on.
when he came, and we actually went to Alexandra where my mom was staying, I could understand why the lady couldn't pick up an address because it was like, Tony, the houses in Alexandra
Yeah,
is
you,
in between
yeah.
each
Because
other.
it's shacks, yes.
Shacks.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that is why when there's a fire, all those shacks like
Yes.
burns, because
Yeah.
it's like very condensed.
Sure.
Very, very
Yeah.
condensed.
So I realized that's
Yeah.
why he couldn't pick up an address.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I want you now to carry on with
Yeah.
that
want me to?
situation
Okay.
when how did your brother got to know where you are?
Okay.
Because that to me is a story that is very divine.
Yes.
It was a divine connection that God actually in his faithfulness and
Yes.
in his
Sovereignty
almightiness,
powers.
man,
Yes.
True.
connected
True.
Wow.
a brother that
Yes.
I never met, that I never knew existed.
True.
And tell us about
Yes.
that.
So basically, it comes in there when I came from the conference, né? And after I stopped to search now, so my aunt called me, Auntie Esther. She called me and she said to me, she called me on my nickname. She said, Mungsi. I said, yes. She said, you won't believe what have happened. I'm like, what? She said, yes, people at our house in Artswater, they said they know the whereabouts of your mom. And we have your half-brother. He's your half-brother also. Guys, can you imagine what? The emotions, the confusion, the happiness.
Yeah.
Because, I have given up. And Pastor Eva was saying, every dead thing will come alive.
Yeah.
And here I get this phone call.
Yes.
It's like God have instantly have heard my prayer that day at that conference. Say, God, I've searched.
And what's your sister doing? Your sister, because she's your little sister.
Yeah, my sister is very
And
reserved.
you took her in.
From after my sister
Yeah.
couldn't complete, she was standard 9, I think, and then she didn't do matric that time. So
Yeah.
I said to her, she must come. So she was already here by me also.
Yeah.
So when the news come about my brother arrived there, my sister was with me. So that's why my aunt phoned and said to me, people are here now.
Yeah.
Are we going to direct them back to you? So my aunt was like, you know what, you from Johannesburg, you have passed these girls, so you need to go back. But my aunt and them was so confused. How did they trace them? So what happened is they went and they asked around, do people know my mom's best friend or half a best friend over the years was with them in Sun. So they asked for the Yankees. Our maiden name was Yankees.
Yeah.
And to ask for the Yankees in the area. So they got them to a different Yankees. And then the Yankees said, no, they know other Yankees. And that's why they end up by my grandparents' house.
Yeah.
So that night, they went and sleep in a guest house. So it was the same guest house where the people was actually catering for our wedding when we got married. Listen to this. So our photo was hanging in the gallery. And we were the only brown people that was getting married those years there. So it's a lot of white people. So in the gallery is our photo. My aunt said to this guy, when you guys going to sleep there in that parents' gallery, you will see in this passage, there is photos. Because that time they didn't have a photo to show.
Yeah.
They said, look at that photo and see if you can identify if that is your one sister. You know, my brother, he said he had photos, small photos, when my sister was little, that my mom had somewhere in a briefcase at home. So, but when he saw the picture, he said, this is my sister. He said, she just looked like my mom.
Wow.
You know, without he didn't meet me yet. He said, this is my sister. I have confirmation. I have enough confirmation.
Sure.
And they drove to Renfontein the Sunday. We were waiting for them at my house. We take a lunch and we wait for them. Guys, can you imagine the feeling?
Sure.
Yes, somebody
How
comes.
old was the brother then?
My brother was 34. 34, 35, yeah. So you must know now, it's between 33, 34 years now
Yeah,
that I only, does happen now. So they came to the house and he had 2 candles.
Oh.
He had 2 red candles in his hand. And they walked in and he had a briefcase with my mom's documents, ID, because he had to show most my aunts and them also the IDs and you have information. Because we were so happy because we didn't know that he will tell us now, my mom has passed. We thought, okay, my brother found us, so my mom is maybe sick or something, and then they want us to find closer, you know. So he came into the house with those 2 candles and he lighted it because he said, it's for me and my sister. His light ever went on now because he have found us.
Wow.
Yo, guys, it was so emotional. We had lunch and my mom's friend was telling us all about my mom. And she was saying, my mom always said to them, she have these 2 girls in haar vader in the box. She was always speaking. And I asked her why my mom never want to go home. And she said, my mom was afraid because she thought they have given us up for adoption. My grandparents was like, you know, we can't look after them. We're going to give them away. And that's why she was scared. She was scared of the unknown. She didn't know what to expect. And so my brother then shared the news with us that my mom passed away. And he is also not well. He had kidneys problem. And hence he wants to find closure also. Yeah. And he was insisting looking for us before he's going to die soon.
Wow.
And so we played so fast. After that, we arranged a visit to my mom's grave here in Midrand. She's lying there at Waterfall graveyard. We arranged it. I have a photo whereby, I wish I could have sent it, a photo whereby I'm not in the photo, my sister, Philodine, Miles and Jade, and they have flowers that we took to the gravesite. So we had flowers and they introduced us and say, your mom was buried here. And that is like after this many years. So that is where I found my closure.
So in your book, you actually say when you recognize a purpose through pain. How did you recognize purpose through pain? You say, have you ever experienced a point in your life where you became accustomed to pain? And how did you navigate through all that pain, because that is real pain. You know, that you were abandoned and you are not alone. You have a sibling
Yeah.
and you the eldest now, and you have to take care of your sibling. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That is your
That's huge.
Yeah.
you.
I think what I navigate, Joan, is I always had to recognize the fact that I have pain. I couldn't go through life always and act like it wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know, I've always recognized that we were abandoned. We were rejected. So I had to deal with that pain first.
That's correct.
That
yes.
I'm rejected. I
That's
was
right.
abandoned.
Yes.
My mom was like, she disappointed us, you
Yeah,
know. She
yeah.
said she's coming, but she never came back. So I had to deal with that pain. And after dealing with that pain, I had to find ways and see what is there in my life that I can help myself first to get out of this, man, because it was not a lekker thing. It was not nice to be in it. So I had to urgently find ways. Even, you know, while they said you lead while bleeding, I had to, while I'm bleeding, I had to keep going. So in the back of my mind is my sister. And I don't want my grandparents again to sit with my sister. Now that I'm a little bit grown up, I can at least, you know, get through school. I can find a job and bring my sister. So
You are strong.
that is how you become so accustomed to pain that you move with the pain. You move with the rejection, you know, but you just never, I never could have stopped, because for me, being stopping would have end up in the result that I'm stopping, my sister's stopping. I wouldn't have been able to have my children now, wouldn't have been able to marry. So my life would have been just disastrous. So I think it's just the godly, I don't know, godly instinct that have helped me to constantly navigate through the pain, Johnny.
It must have been.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were very strong, eh?
Yes.
You were a resilient woman.
Absolutely.
And in your book, you talk about the strategies
Yeah.
to be resilient. So I want you to just tell us a little bit about what strategies can someone identify for resilience. You know, when you are in a situation, just picture yourself, you're in a situation and you sometimes don't know. As Sonia said, she kept on moving with the
Yes,
pain,
yeah.
knowing that I
me,
am.
that's very profound.
Yeah.
To
While you're bleeding,
While you're bleeding,
you just
keep
have to keep on.
But she also, Joan, for me, had that. It's almost like an intrinsic, a
Fight.
force, a
Yeah.
fight.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
Nee, as ek reg
True,
forget,
true.
there was something
Yes, deep down
very
within
deep
you.
down within you, and it could only be God.
Absolutely
It,
so.
it was a
Absolutely.
divine
That's a
intervention.
very- that's a
God's
fact.
hand, I believe, was on you then
Absolutely.
already.
Since then, yeah.
You
Absolutely.
knew who you would
Yes.
be in the
Yes.
future.
Yes.
True.
And that's why he gave you that drive
Yes.
to keep on moving. And that is why you love so fiercely, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you love hard.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's why it's so difficult for me. I always said, I think I said to Joan one day, I don't want to find myself in a position whereby I let somebody else feel rejected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know that pain.
Yeah.
You know, I know that pain.
Yes.
And that's why I don't have it all together, but I strive to always love deeply.
Yeah.
To love dearly.
Yes.
Because I know there was a time in my life that I was seeking for kind of love.
Yeah.
Yes.
And hence today I'm pouring that.
That's
because I
right.
know
That's wonderful.
I
so
needed
beautiful.
that.
Beautiful.
The question-
So give us the
Okay.
strategies.
Yeah.
Give
Okay,
us the
I have in
strategies.
my book, I think it's page 18.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I said to identify resilient strategies. I have 5 strategies. One
Yeah.
is to practicing mindfulness.
yeah.
You know,
Yes.
to always be mindful of what is going on within you.
Yeah.
What
Yes.
is going on in your life.
Yeah.
Speak to the inner
Yes.
person.
Yeah.
And all and by mindfulness, I think I mentioned also my notes last night. I was like, you need to be present.
That's
You
right.
know, I
Yeah.
always had to be present.
Yes.
Going through this, I couldn't be absent-minded all the
Yeah,
time
yeah.
because now I must navigate my way through another thing, you know.
Yes.
So I had to be present. The second one is building strong support system, and this is my favorite one. Why would I say that? Today I have you guys also, and I have so many others when I grew
Yes.
up.
Yes.
If it was not for a strong, let me tell the
Support. You need a
listeners,
support system.
today,
Yeah.
you need a support
You
system.
need a
Yes,
support.
so true.
No man
Johnny,
is an
I
island.
can never
No,
sit
man.
here
Absolutely.
and disregard the
Yeah.
little that my aunts was doing.
That's
Today, my
right.
aunts, when I saw them this weekend,
Yes.
you know, all two of my bigger aunts, they are so sick. They are not well physically. But when I was looking at them, I could just say, I said to them, I will never disregard what you guys were doing for me
Yeah.
growing up. The
That's so
support system. My
beautiful.
one aunt, I remember, I don't know, did I mention it in my book? I remember in my granny's house, they even start selling alcohol for some time because there wasn't money. My one aunt was selling alcohol and for us to survive.
Just to make money.
To make money, you know, it was not for a.
And you can so
it was
easily judge.
Can you believe it?
Yes, that's so
you know
true,
that,
yeah.
and she was like, so we had to be in that environment by the selling alcohol, but strong support system is very imperative.
Yeah.
You know, I
that's
will
true.
do nothing without you guys, without my family, without friends that support me, and develop a growth mindset for moving forward.
Yeah.
You can never stay stagnated. You
Yeah.
can never stay stuck. You can never say, I know it all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah, no,
never.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Let
true,
me
eh?
tell you
Yeah,
guys,
amen.
I learn every
I
day.
think that
Amen.
helps me a lot.
Yes.
You know, I always have, when we had our friends, I mean, I can take from Dr. Carl. He will always say new things. He will always teach me things. He will
Yes,
always say, Sonia,
yes.
you can say that, you can say that, you can say.
Yeah.
And I'm taking it. I'm
Yes.
taking it because I feel like I can grow through that.
Yes.
You know, when I get to a next conversation,
But
this
can you
helped me.
imagine, you will never be able to develop a growth mindset and moving on. You will never be able to move on if you are an offensive person.
Yes.
And if
True.
you
Say-
feel
it's
that
so
you have
true.
arrived.
Yes.
You know what I'm
True.
saying? Because
Yeah.
sometimes you feel, especially like in your case, you have a degree.
Yeah.
And you know, you learn it. It's
Yeah.
not that you are stagnating.
Yeah.
You moved on, you pushed on
Yeah.
through whatever
Yes,
you
yes,
went
yes,
through.
yes.
But you want to become something. You
Yes.
have a goal set
True.
for you. But if you are, I've learned this, if you are arrogant and full of yourself,
So true.
you will never be able to move
is so
forward.
True, Johnny.
But
will
can I
never be
also
able to.
just add this, that growing isn't always pleasant. It can
True.
be very painful,
Painful,
too.
absolutely. Yeah.
Because when
Yeah.
when one has to look at oneself, especially, and you have to acknowledge the truth,
Yes.
it marks seer.
True.
It hurts.
That's a fact.
And yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said a growing mindset.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
because you can go through pain.
Yes.
But if your mind
Yes.
is made up,
Yeah.
if you speak to this mind and say, I can
Yes.
become this.
Yes.
So
Yes.
growing up
Fully
for me,
agree.
I constantly had to speak
to
to myself.
Yes.
I
That's why I
constantly.
like the mirror, see?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
That's
so
my
true.
thing.
Reflecting.
Because I have to
Yeah.
speak
And
to
one
myself.
have- That's
Yeah.
it's vital. You have
I
to.
look around the
important.
people around me growing
Yeah.
up and it's like, I can also become that.
Yeah.
How do they get it right? I can
Yes.
also. So I had to speak to yourself all the time, you
Wow.
know? So that helps a lot.
Yes. And then number four is
a
maintain a sense of purpose. right?
practicing self-care.
Yeah, and then practicing
Yes.
self-care. It's important to
Yeah.
practice self-care.
Yes.
Because you see, if your mind is not framed
Yeah.
in the moving on,
Yes.
you will want to lay in bed.
True.
You
So
will
true.
you will go
True.
through that struggle of getting
Yeah.
up.
True.
Yeah.
You will go through the motions
Yes.
of what you are feeling.
Yes.
What you went through
What you
before.
went through,
and
and
it's-
all that is
I am-
playing
I was
down like
rejected,
a movie.
so let me stay
You get what
rejected.
I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's true, Johnny.
And then
It's true.
depression steps in,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and that's where you become sick.
Yes.
True.
Your mind gets sick.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Because
then it becomes to your body
it
because you
becomes to
don't
your
care
body.
Yes.
about your body
And
anymore.
then you don't want to dress up, you don't want to go anywhere,
Yes,
you
look good,
isolate yourself.
Yeah.
So it is very important to take self-care.
You're right.
So who were your seeds of inspiration?
I've mentioned in my book about my seeds of inspiration growing up. First of all, like I said, my grandparents.
Yeah.
May their souls rest in peace. my aunts, you know, my one particular aunt, Auntie Anna, I will never forget her. Why I said she was also a seed of inspiration, she actually took me through confirmation in the NG Kerk, Dutch Reformed Church. She makes sure that process also took
Yes.
place. So she helped to mold me spiritually,
Yeah.
to attend the
Lay a
classes.
foundation
Yes,
there,
attend the
yes.
classes so that I can go through
Yeah.
conforming, you know.
Yeah.
So growing up, it was my teachers. There was a lay
Yes.
teacher, Jeffrey B, we have called him a teacher B. She was always, you know, it's like she was called for checking on the children
Yeah.
that don't have parents, but they have grandparents, but was
Yeah.
not, you know,
Yeah.
really solid
Yeah,
family
yeah.
structures.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my
Yes.
B was like kind of that teacher. Then also the teachers in my class, you know,
Mm.
the people in our community. You know, John, this weekend also when I went home, it was so warm-hearted to see the aunties of those years.
Sure.
And they are so proud to see me.
Wow.
My eyes just full.
So beautiful.
I was like, you know, I could just embrace them and just always say to them, I will never forget you guys. I'm there in Joburg, but you were my mom's, you know, friends that you said you know my mom, but you were like always like, we can't believe it that your mom have done that because we can't believe it. But they were. I know there's one Auntie Macy. She had also my mom's nickname, and I met her this weekend again.
Yeah.
And when I look at her, she reminds me of my mom.
Oh,
So
wow.
those kind of community, it's really inspirations, seeds of inspirations in my life. You know, growing up, and till today, I have that seeds of inspiration. You know.
But it's commendable that you also haven't forgotten those people.
Yeah.
Because some people, when they have arrived, so to speak,
That's a fact.
they
forget
where they come from. They forget their
The
roots.
people in
and
their
the
journey.
people
Yeah.
on their journey that brought them. So I salute you for that, Lady S. That
Yeah,
is-
because you can really throw away, you know, the
Yes.
people who
True.
was motivating
Yes,
you
absolutely.
Yeah.
and who was actually holding your hand
That's
through
right.
your
So true.
difficult times.
so
Yes.
true.
So it is very commendable
mean-
that you actually can go back and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
have the moments to
Yes.
thank them.
So
True.
You
You
know.
know, when I think about Pastor Johnny, even your late brother, Pastor Anthony Constance,
Yeah.
I think I mentioned his name in the book somewhere, when I was at high school.
Yeah.
I mean, I was not grounded in Christ. And I have attended, PRM was my church
Yeah.
when I
Yes.
got there. And he really shaped my life through the preaching, through the Bible studies that we have attended. And that is my seeds of inspiration that I can reflect to and remember those great people that was part of my
Yes,
journey.
yes.
I can really remember them. And that's why I'm going to have a book launch in Hartswater on the 31st of May. The reason for that is my grandmother's birthday date. And
Oh,
also,
wow.
it's just to take back to my community, to show them it's our youngsters of now, to show them it's possible. And
Yes.
also to show them once again, never forget where you
That's
come
true.
from.
That's so
Yes.
true. All
You
right.
know, the other question we want to ask you is, what scars did you experience in childhood? And I read here at the back of your book about, you know, to the resilient reader, you were talking about rejection, and also the other one was you talked
yeah,
about abandonment.
I will
but
say
there's- no, forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Yeah,
Yes.
forgiveness.
For me,
And-
that
yeah,
was
forgiveness.
so
Yeah.
profound.
Because that's vital. That's
That
very
is-
important.
Oh my word! Because you find before
Because
you
if you
answer
don't
that,
forgive,
Yeah.
you will never be able to carry on.
that's so true.
You know,
Joan.
you will never be whole.
Absolutely, because you know what? You also say there, like we listened to the story of your parents that abandoned you, but you said something to the fact that it's almost like they didn't know better then.
Yes.
They made the best decisions
Yes,
then.
yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
And some children hold on to that hurt
Yeah.
and the pain
Yeah, and they
and
never
the
move
blaming,
forward.
the blame game. So when you do that, you will not move forward.
True.
Never.
If you can't leave the past
Yeah.
behind
True.
and accept that people made the best decisions that they could at the time. So just tell us more about, you know, the scars that you experience and the forgiveness.
Yes.
Did you have to forgive yourself? to forgive
Definitely,
others?
definitely. I think the biggest one that stood out was the rejection. the scars of
And,
rejection.
and we all face rejection.
Yes, I was
Yes.
walking around with it every
All the
time.
time.
Yeah.
And another one was the low self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know, about my appearance. Let me tell you, I didn't show up like that in every room.
Really?
I was like, you know, I felt like
Daarom
I
kyk ek
can't,
jou
I
nou
can't
so.
speak. I was like,
Appearance.
my voice is like, I can't speak eloquently. I
Yeah.
can't pronounce words because of that confusion of growing
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
But yet, you can't believe it, how it can stuck with you.
Yes.
It can leave
No,
scars
that's
in
true.
you. You
Because that
Wow.
happened to me too.
Yes.
To be
Yeah.
quite honest, I know exactly what you're talking about when it
Wow.
comes to that.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that I grew up Afrikaans.
Yes, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was a total Afrikaans community.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
because I come from Noordgesig.
Yes.
And that was my school.
Yeah.
You know, so your foundation years is so important.
Yes.
Because now when you grow up, I'm a now, you know,
It catch up with you.
it really does.
It
And
does.
then I married an Afrikaans boy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, who came from Potchefstroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally Afrikaans community.
Yes.
And we had to learn when we came into ministry to speak English.
English.
And sometimes, you know how it is.
Yes,
That's
true.
why we say it. The
Yes.
airtime is over.
Over.
Yes,
You know?
We know what we're talking
Yes.
about.
But also the connotation then
Yes.
with the Afrikaans. I remember growing up where English was a superior language.
Language.
If you could speak English, oh, then you are the ladi-das.
yeah, and they kept them, the ladi does.
yeah.
True.
And we Afrikaans speaking.
Ons was maar die low mense,
Low
low
class.
mense.
Low
And
class
one
people.
of the scars was also the complex of my appearance. Like I said,
Like, yeah.
like
Especially amongst the brain
exactly,
mense.
true.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, remember, I was already confused. Am
Yeah.
I brown? Am I black?
Yeah.
And now my appearance is like, my hair.
Yeah.
You know, my skin.
Yes.
That was scars that
Yeah.
growing up
No,
that
I
was
hear
part
you.
of my journey.
Yes.
You know, that's why I mentioned it there. And I mentioned it there also for the readers that struggle with it today. And after that, there's questions that they could answer. But also with the unforgiveness. I think that is the thing that God has really instilled in me.
Yeah.
That my sister was like sometimes very cross, you know.
Yes.
Even if this brother rock up, he's like, but I mean, you rock up here, now you're still sick, you don't even have money, you know, now we still have to take care of you, something like
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
You know what I
can
mean?
I can
Because it's
imagine.
normal,
Yes,
it's
yes.
normal.
It's normal.
It's
Yeah,
normal.
yeah.
So the reason for me as the eldest, I had to suppress myself in many times, in so many ways, because I have to show up now that the strong girl that is not angry,
Yes.
that is not feeling like, how could my mother left us in
Yes.
cross all the
Yes.
time, you know? Although I was like having it, but I have to show up. My parents was always been, it's okay, she left us. da, da, da."
Positive,
But until I dealt with it in the chapters in my book whereby I had to forgive.
Yes.
You know, I had to let go. And then I had to realize growing up now through the wisdom of God and say, that was the best that they could have done, Joan.
Yes.
When I went back in my Genesis moment, the unrest in South Africa during the apartheid. And my parents thought, you know what? We love these children and we're going to take them into hiding. And that's why I said, maybe they didn't mean to abandon us. And that's why I found my forgiveness. Maybe
Yes.
they didn't mean to reject us.
Yes.
That was the best that they could have done during that moment and think, otherwise these children going to die here with us.
Yes.
Let me take them there. And many times is
And
Sacrificial
especially, and
love.
especially in the confinement that they were
exactly,
in.
Yes.
you know?
exactly, Johnny.
Yes.
Yeah.
That came to my realization and to say, you know what? And I also understand why there was a timing for me to write my book until I didn't have that closure of seeing where we were.
Yes.
Where we were.
Yeah.
And my parents was taking us there. So maybe it was the best they could have done that time.
Yes,
and say, let us
absolutely.
take them to a grandparent.
Yes. That's true.
You know what I mean? And today, I mean, I bear the fruit of it. And that's why it makes it easy then for me to forgive,
Yes.
to let go of shame
Yes.
and blame. Because
Yes.
as children, we can blame our parents for all day long
Yes.
and never seen the good in it.
Yes.
How did you transform your frustration into motivation?
What I did is, when I transformed my frustration and motivation during my journey, I always have the seed of praying inside of me. You know, I've learned how to pray, and I didn't know God in the depths, but I always had a praying part whereby I thought, I'm so frustrated with this life of us, and you know, please bring help. You know, please bring people to help. You know, and also self-talk a lot. I had a lot of self-talk because when I'm frustrated, I speak out loud, and I'm like frustrated.
Yes.
You know, so then I find motivation in it. And one of the things, Joan's growing up and in my journey, was my turnaround came in my frustration the day I went for life coaching. And I was having a lot of stuff that I thought I've dealt with, and I've never have dealt with. And went for the life coaching, and the life coaching taught me things, values, and they taught me things like that. So when I find myself in frustration, I first ask myself, what is your real values? Why are you frustrated right now?
I like that very much, because you see, sometimes if you can just get to know and ask yourself the questions, what make me feel like this?
True.
That is self-talk. And that is also identifying the person that is with you all the time. You are with yourself all the time. You know what I'm saying? So the frustrations that I'm feeling, what makes me feel like this? You know, that's the self-talk that you have to have with yourself. And then you find some things that can motivate you. Motivate you into a direction that you can move forward. Motivate you in a direction that, hey man, it's not that bad. You know what I'm saying? Because when you look at it, then you can see, no man, if that one made it, I can also do it.
I like that.
You get what I'm
I
saying?
like that.
So-
And I like doing that as well.
Because
I need
frustration
We
is
need to encourage ourselves, like David did.
You have
with the
to.
Lord.
You have to.
because frustration is like energy.
Yeah.
So I always ask myself, how can I use this same frustration energy and turn it into something positive?
Yes.
That's correct,
That's
yes. And then also, Sonia, tell me a little bit about the lover of your life. How did you meet him? What was the journey there?
I think I had a chapter there.
Yeah, you do.
The love part. So I met my husband, my now husband. He was in Johannesburg. He was schooling here in Randfontein.
Yeah.
So one holiday, we all normally, those that have schooled in Johannesburg or Potchefstroom, boarding schools, wherever we were, Kimberley, we will all go home holidays. So we were like friends, you know, before we actually fall in love. We were just friends, and he came back. So my husband wasn't safe, and then, he was like, not Johnny, be good. And then the Lord saved him, I think in 1990, and he came to Hartswater, 1991, and he came to Hartswater. And that December holidays, he actually asked me out, you know. And we were so in love, and he was playing such a vital role in my life. He was one of the seeds of inspiration. And then we became boyfriend and girlfriend. I think we dated for 5 years because I was still in high school. And now he was almost done with school. He was, I think, in standard 9. So I remember the day when I failed grade 9. He even went with me to fetch my report card. And I didn't know I failed. And then it was like, this boyfriend thinks I don't need it. I'm failing. But then we were distant. He wasn't even staying there. So he while I was in Potchefstroom and at a boarding school, my grandparents many times couldn't afford maybe to give me money because they couldn't also depend on my uncles and aunts. They have their own children.
Their own lives.
So my boyfriend then, my husband now, he was feeding this project. I always said to him, I was your project. I was your project. He invested in this project. And he was helping. He was buying my matric dress. I always make a joke about it. How if someone threw a match on me, I would have burned out because it was nylon and trampoline. But you know what? He really was there in that critical moments, you know. It was like God have placed him also in my life. So, we got engaged in 1995, and we were for 1 year engaged, and then we got married in 1997. So yeah, so he's still the love of my life for 28 years. Can you believe it? That God has
Yes,
put him in
that's
my
so
life
beautiful.
strategically.
Awesome. He was
Right, that's
meant to be.
awesome, man. I really
there's
enjoy
so
your.
many to deal with in the book.
So tell me, I want to just go to the people here
Okay.
online. Eileen Pelman and Sandy Edwards, Masha Bailing, Sims. Thank you so much, Judith. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Thank you, Heather. For tuning in, Evangelique. Thank you so much. You are such stars. We really appreciate you. Eileen says, good morning, beautiful ladies and pastors. Pastor V first, the ball girl. Sandy says, hello, sisters. You ladies are looking good. I enjoy practicing taking deep breaths. It's a sense of relief. When I worry, I pray and I cast my care on Him. Congratulations once again, Lady S. You were truly born to move. I can't wait to read my copy. Lady S, thank you for reminding us that it is not where we come from, but where we are going. And that is so very true. And then Marsha says, good morning, beautiful ladies. Sampiwe says, born to move, and a lot of clockies. Judith says, a very blessed morning to all anointed and beautiful ladies. Morning to you too. Heather Aplon says, good morning, beautiful sisters. Then Evangelique says, Scarlett is so invested in Born to Move, written with so much inspiration.
Wow.
Yeah, that child likes to read these
I
things.
love
Yeah.
that.
And she showed me a club.
Yeah, and then Judith Botha says, wow, what a testimony. This is too much to handle. It's so emotional for me. And I think maybe because you maybe can relate to some of the things that were said, Sister Judith. Then Sister Heather says, Lady S, you're such an encouragement to the world out there. God is showing off with you now. You are designer's original, my darling, and I fully agree and say amen. And then some says, prayer is everything. Speaking to God is the best thing. He does not screenshot. Amen. And then she says, true love is so beautiful to witness. Sandy says, not Johnny Be Good. And then she says, thank you, Pastor Denver, for fueling my sister's purpose. Kry julle klaar, ek wag vir die koppie van my boek. Jy sal jou koppie kry, my sister. Lady S, we came to the end of our show, and I just want you to tell the people out there why should they get a copy and how cheap it is to get the copy.
Yes, first I want to really send out a shout out to little Scarlett. Evangelique was reading to me
Showing you a clip.
No, she read, actually she was sitting opposite and she was start reading what Scarlett is reading my book, and she was recording Scarlett. Nee? And then I listen. Because I want to pick up why she's actually playing this clip to me.
Yeah.
And then while I was listening, literally Scarlett was busy reading my book, and she was saying how she's going to go into the questions the following day. So Scarlett is 8 years old, Joni.
Wow.
Even if God have allowed me to write this book, to already on the age of 8 years for Scarlett to know that she is born to move.
And a special needs
A special needs child,
Yes,
let it be.
yes.
And I want to tell the readers out there, please, if you can, get your copy. I let it still go for 175 for now.
Yeah.
Please get your copies, because if I have an event, then it becomes a little bit more, because then I include the book with refreshments.
Yes.
But for now, I let it go for 175, and you can really contact myself. I have a link where you can order the book. You can contact myself. I'm going to have 2 events. One going to be at UJ on the 6th of June for the Joburg people around in the south. Randfontein people still bother me for a date,
Please,
but
you
I'm
have
working
to-
on that.
You have to actually send Lady S a I'm going to be there.
Yes, RSVP. You
RSVP.
please RSVP,
It's
Johnny.
very
You
important
so important
there's a limited amount of
limited
people.
amount of people. They do catering. So and what I can say to the readers and for those out there, please purchase the book. The book is personal. It
Yeah.
got some personal
Very.
questions. It's not
Yes.
about just me. It's
Yeah.
about your own journey,
Right.
your own struggles, your own
Yes.
rejection, your own scars
it's
that you went through.
self-reflection
It's
that you can do.
self-reflection
Yes,
because
yes.
I'm also a professional coach. So I was like,
Yes.
Lord, when will I ever reach the masses with my coaching skills?
Yeah.
And this is actually an opportunity to bring it in here
Absolutely
so that the
so.
masses can be impacted.
The masses,
So
yes.
Born to Move is not just how I went through my story,
Yeah.
is how you can go through your daily trials and tribulations.
Yeah, so it's
awesome.
175 guys for
Yes,
now.
yes.
Next month it will be 200
Yes,
rand.
true.
So yes, you have to purchase yours right now.
Yeah.
Just send a link. You
Yes.
can actually even say on the comments
True,
right now.
true.
Tell us that
Yes.
I want a copy, please.
Yes,
and,
please.
And then
And I will reach out to you.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sonia will just reach
Yeah.
out to you. Or you can even contact me if you have
Yes,
my number.
true,
You
true.
can contact Violet.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's
absolutely.
endless, guys.
Absolutely.
This is a very good book.
Yeah.
It's a
And I'm
must to
not
have.
just saying it
Yes.
because it's my friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I am saying it because of the reflections, the questions that you're going to have to deal with. It's going to help you.
Yes.
Wherever you are, if you are in a stuck position, this is going to make you move forward. Truly speaking, I am pleading with you to just
Yes.
get the book
Yeah.
because it's going to help you to move. Because you are not born to stagnate.
Yes.
You are born to move.
Yes.
And not to move backward,
Yeah.
but to move forward.
Yeah.
Right? We see in the world that we are living in, if you put on the news, it is negative.
Yeah.
When you meet people in the malls, it's
Yes.
always negative. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? But this book can help you get out of that negativity.
Yes, so true.
right, and push you into positivity.
Amen.
So
in a
true.
mindset of
Yes.
positivity.
Yeah.
So it is vitally important for you to get the book Born
To
to
move.
move. Right? So your last comments, girls, and then we're going to say ta-ta.
Well, my last comments would just be to commend the author, for this book. And I also just want to read a portion of her book on page 153 that says, to the resilient reader. I'm going to end off with this. I also want you to know, lady, is I'm going to purchase a couple of books to give to people as gifts, but only to people that want to move and want to change.
Yeah, that's
because that is
important
also
also.
a personal decision that one
Yeah.
has to make. Whether you want to stay where you are or whether you want to move, whether you want to change, whether you want to grow. So the paragraph that I want to read here on page 153 says, remember your circumstances do not define you. Your response does. I love this part.
Absolutely
Your
so.
response does. So when life seems overwhelming, take one small step forward.
Yes.
Even the tiniest progress is victory.
Wow.
Keep your gaze fixed on your dreams and goals, and let
Yes.
your faith, whether in God, whether it's in yourself or your purpose, be your anchor. I love that. And I want to end over that. Thank you so much, Lady S, for these words in your book. It's in the book. So get the book, and then you can read more of this to the listeners.
For me
More
to end off,
inspiration.
thank you so
Yeah.
much, Vi. For me to end off, I really want to read just one line of the person that was writing the foreword.
Yeah.
Because it's also important if a
Yes.
person write a foreword and what the person say about it. So my foreword was written by our senior pastor,
Yeah.
Dr. Carl Hendricks. I wouldn't have wanted otherwise. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Doc. Shout out.
Yeah.
So there is a passage that Doc said, what struck me most as I turned these pages was the authenticity of each page, of
Yes.
each chapter.
Yeah.
The practical reflections and the questions for further reflection
Yeah.
help the reader to move forward in their journey.
Yes.
I hate my journey.
Yes.
It's your time
It's your
now to
time.
move forward in your journey. Because
Awesome.
together we are moving. Because we are born to move.
Moving forward. We're moving forward. Right. So my last comments is actually in 145 because I went through a situation like this, speaking
Right.
about embracing the process of rejection. So this actually helped me tremendously.
Yeah.
That it's the ability to embrace rejection not as a defining failure, but as a necessary part of the journey is a trait shared by some of the most successful individuals in history. The most successful individuals in history actually made history due to the fact that they suffered rejection, but they moved forward.
Yes.
And that's why they
I
are
like that.
successful
Yes.
today. And that was really standing out for me
Yes.
in this book.
Yeah.
So I want to say
Never give
thank you.
up.
Thank you so much for listening. God loves you. Get your copy. 175 for now. Next month it's going up for
Yes.
200 rand.
Yes.
So don't
My sales
delay.
lady. I love
Walala
you.
wasala. Right? So it's too cheap actually
yes.
to have it for 175. To be
yes.
quite honest, for
Yes.
what is in it.
Yes.
For what is in it.
Yeah. They want to
Guys,
invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself. And I know you don't like to read, but when I wear, kiri when I wakila moshika.
Can I just say, I'm busy to load it onto Kindle. So for
Yes.
those who wants to have electronic copy, it will be
Yeah.
available.
like
it. Nice.
It
I
will
like
be
that.
available
Yeah.
next month. So,
So you
I'm
can
going to have
listen
it.
to
Yeah.
it.
So you
Yeah.
can listen to it
Yes.
while you are.
That is
driving.
very nice
Yeah.
because
That's nice.
while
I'm
you
busy.
while you are driving, you can
Cleaning,
actually
whatever.
read. Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you so much. God loves you. We love you. Go in the peace of the Lord. Mwah.
Wow. Thank you, guys.
As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams. As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams.